Right, and then afterwards what happens is, so when you've got all these variation, and then let's say suddenly there are changes to the environment, okay? And the changes are to, let's say, like in the place where the moth are found, the moth actually live, and then suddenly there is a forest fire. Ada misalnya suddenly ada api, okay? Ada hangus. And then what happens? It burned the field where the moth live, and which resulted the following to happen. So apa terjadi arah the moth, okay? So what happened is the moth yang laju laju terbang, what will happen is they probably manage to escape, okay, and then manage to escape, and then they probably move to new place, meet new resources, have new habitats, and of course they would have new challenges in new areas as well. Okay, and what happens? Yang the other moth, they probably cannot escape, they probably cannot run, they cannot hide, so they probably get killed. Okay, because they are not fast enough, because atu endang dorang punya traits. Okay, and what happens to the rest is probably they are able to survive, but because of fast reaction, so as a result they will remain in the field. Okay, so you have, what happens is the original same population, same species, suddenly ada changes in the environment, and then the berpacah. So this one, all the moth yang warna green, warna purple, they probably move away. Warna merah, warna pink, they all probably die, and then moth semua yang warna yellow, warna black is probably staying. Okay, and then what happens afterwards? Right, so what happens for this moth that survive, for these two moths, these two kinds of moths that survive, and then perhaps so they remain in the burn area, and of course kalau tempat yang hangus, so of course the appearance-nya is much more ashy, it's much more black, it's much more dull, right? So let's say in that cases another changes occur. Another changes, that means perhaps there is predator that came. Okay, ada a new predator, a new eagle that came. Okay, ada eagle datang, and then the eagle itu the eagle look around the field, the burnt field, and then they easily spotted the yellow ones because it's too bright. Okay, so therefore the eagle will hunt the yellow moth, but then since this moth is warna hitam, they're probably in the nampak. So they are probably much more better camouflage. Okay, so the moth yang ani is much more better camouflage. Again, in this case, the black moth is now being selected lagi to survive better. Okay, so the moth is camouflage, survive more, and then because they survive more, that means they are able to reproduce more. And because they are able to reproduce more, that means all the offspring, okay, all the black moths, they are able to survive, they are able to better adapt, and they are able to probably hide better in the field, and they are probably able to survive better in the field. So this is, in this case, okay, the black moth is being naturally selected. Okay, they are being selected. Dorang kena pilih by the environment to survive in this condition. Okay, and of course these changes, it doesn't just take overnight. It will probably take years and years, even probably hundreds of years. Okay, so as you can see from this variety of moths, you end up yang tinggal arah the field is kebanyakannya all the black moths. Okay, bukannya satu moth, satu black saja. It's perhaps you have a lot of black moths, and then yang banyak tinggal arah the field. Alright, and then Atu is trying to explain the natural selection process, how the changes in the environment it leads to the selections, the natural selections of which of the varieties. Okay, now we've also here we also want to discuss how natural selection can actually lead to the evolution of new species. Okay, so now we're going back to here. Okay, so remember yang the green and the purple moth that were able to escape. So perhaps they're able to escape, and then suddenly they move to new area. Okay, so they move to new area, so that means they go to new places. So perhaps they don't know what the new places is. So maybe the new place atau maybe they have new predator, or they probably have new resources. They will probably have new food. okay? And so that means they have to be better adapted to the situation, okay? So let's say in this example, okay, let's say the mothnya tu, they went to a place whereby mutation occurs very, very rapidly, okay? So they moved to area where there was an incident of apa tu, radiation incident, okay, which leads to a lot of mutation. So a lot of mutation happens, so that means dorang punya offspring, okay, perhaps they went there and then they're able to survive to get food and then they're able to reproduce, right? And when they reproduce because of mutation that happens, and then suddenly the appearance of anak-anak dorang, they change from this kind menjadi this kind, okay? Instead of 2 wings, ada 1, 2, 1, 2, yang menjadi 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 3 pairs of wings. Okay, so ani maybe ia masih lagi same, okay, perhaps ia punya badan saja yang lain warnanya, okay. So because of mutation that happens, so again in this case natural selection is playing a role, okay. And what happens is they mate in a new place, in a new environment, so as a result anak-anak dorang, they would develop into a new characteristic, so which means perhaps the more predominant types of moth, it would appearance-nya menjadi macam ni. Okay, so 3 pairs of wings with double body color. Okay, so new characteristics. And then these new characteristics, ani, it turns out they are very, very different. If you see, ani 3 pair, ani 2 pair. So it's somewhere along the line, because of mutation, because of the natural selection that takes place, it becomes very, very different, right? So when these two, so let's say when these two, kan originally they all came from this same species, right? So when this one, this moth berjumpa dengan this moth, the chances are there are now new characteristics, new traits, okay? They each develop new traits, new characteristics independently. So this one, they become more and more black. This one, they become more and more colorful and probably up to more wings developing, okay? So that they can travel much faster or travel whatever lah, okay? So in this case, these two are no longer similar. Okay, and because they are no longer similar, at some point they can no longer interbreed and produce fertile offspring. If let's say we try to force these two to mate, okay, and if they try to mate and they cannot produce any fertile offspring, that means kita ni suruh ia ehem tapi ia inda dapat ada anaknya, inda dapat beranak, inda dapat bertelur. So therefore, as a result, they can no longer produce fertile offspring. And in that state, when 2 individuals can no longer produce fertile offspring, then we say that this is a different species from this, okay? And as a result, in this case, evolution of new species arise, okay? So that's how, kan awal-awal sini, from the same pool, okay, the same pool of moths, because of the changes, because of natural selection taking place, because of the forest fire, then this one move. And then because this one move exposed to radiation, again, natural selection again. And then this one again, they stay, but they are exposed to predator. Again, natural selection again. So you can see how natural selection actually leads to the development of new species, okay? So that is the overall for how the natural selection leading to the evolution of new species. Okay, so thank you.